Hey everybody. So, not in the movie theater, so you're gonna get the red glow of the lighting of my apartment here, so enjoy the basking of my glow. Seriously, Madagascar. Great series. Watch it. So, I seem to be having a little trend here where I've gotten good, bad, and good. So, let's continue that trend here. So, we start with good of Sonic 2, the bad of Fantastic Beasts Where to Find Them, even though not the worst thing I've seen. So, instead, what we got today is honestly one of my new favorite games I've played in a long time, which I don't see a lot of talk about it, so it deserves some love. So, Triangle Strategy, a relatively new game from a couple months ago, based around Cyranoa Wolfort, who's the son of Lord Wolfort, who's one of the three main houses in the Kingdom of Glenbrook, who basically guards the kingdom from ne'er-do-wells and whatnot. There's a lot of history in with it too, which is actually one of the game's really strong benefits. Is that this is a very story-rich game, and reminded me a lot of Game of Thrones in a good way. Not the end of Game of Thrones, which is complete garbage and caca. The good version of Game of Thrones before it stopped following the books and followed the ideas of two guys who had no idea what the heck they do. Anybody feel like Starbucks or seeing a boom mic or having Jamie's golden hand on the wrong hand? But good stuff, good stuff. None of that in this, though kind of a little bit. But so Triangle Strategy is a turn-based, grid-based battle game, much in the same way of Fire Emblem, or if you ever played the original Legend of Heroes Trials in the Sky, the same way. And what I like about this game, first and foremost, is the combat system is fast, fluent, and they do a really good job of keeping the battles. They start off kind of easy, but as you progress, they definitely get harder. Definitely going to play on the harder difficulty in the New Game Plus, which I always like New Game Pluses. You get to carry stuff over. But another good thing about this game is that no character is the same. What I've noticed in a lot of games is that you'll get multiple healers to the point where you don't know which one is the best. In this game, however, everyone kind of has a specific role in a different way they play. For example, Cyranoa is the bruiser, basically. He's the guy with the big sword. He can take a lot of damage. He's the main character. He's supposed to be the most OP character in the game, and he kind of is. But then you get someone like Frederica, who's his fiance, who's an adept in fire magic, and she only knows fire spells. And there's a variety of them, but there's strictly fire. There's only a handful of people who might know maybe one fire spell or something, but she's like the master of it. And later on, you get someone who's really good with ice magic, and it continues on with that. You'll get an archer, you might get a falcon rider archer, a falcon rider knight. There's a lot you can do with these characters, and the great thing is, with the exception of maybe a few of them, none of them feel useless or pointless. Heck, I started playing one character just on a whim, and suddenly he was on my main team for the rest of it because I realized how nasty he was with a couple of character combinations. And that's kind of the fun thing. You can mix and match these characters, and the more you play them, they actually unlock little sub-stories for them where they let you know a little about themselves while they're fighting for Cyranoa. And as the game progresses, you get more characters and things progress. Now, I do feel like I need to make something a little bit apparent here. And this is something that a lot of people complain about in the Legends of Heroes franchise or even some other JRPGs. A lot of them really have a lot of dialogue and a lot of story to them. And it takes up a lot of the time in the beginning. As things progress later on, more fights come. It kind of gets you set up so that way the choices you make, now you feel the impact of it. I can't think of a time I had two fights back to back between a story event, because basically you have battles, which are the battles, and yeah, be prepared for those. And you have mock battles you can do, but that's side training stuff in the tent, but that's stuff you get to in the game. You got event moments where basically they're cutscenes. They tell you what's happening. You have the main ones, which progress the story, and you have sub ones that are used for the characters that you unlocked and you've used them enough time in battles. And you have the sub-stories that go on in the world around you. So let's say in your part you're dealing with this army and you're at your beck and call. You're like, man, I wish I could call for my allies. Why isn't anyone showing up? Well, you'll cut to these moments and you'll see where these people are, what they're doing, and some of them could basically be giving you the middle finger and saying, no, I'm going to see how this plays out. I'm going to play it by ear, maybe. And some are like, Call the banners. We must go to them right now. And oh crud, they're ambushing us. Oh no, we're dead. It happens. So I kind of like that. And here's the thing: if you didn't watch those events, they still bring it up in the main storyline. You just get like a little bit of a throwaway, which to me kind of ruins the moment in the sense that it doesn't feel as impactful. But for those who watched it, you know, at least it feels like it was acknowledged and it wasn't a waste of time. So you can play both ways with it. Another mode is the exploration mode, where it's kind of like the story mode, but when you go there, you get control of Sarah Noah, and he can go around and talk to people and kind of get people's opinions. You can get little Easter eggs from things to come. You can get people's viewpoints. And it's just nice talking to these characters because, you know, they're all a little bit different. They all have their own drives, determinations, and motives. And it's not all noble in a sense. Some are, but some are more loyal to certain areas than others. Somebody might be more loyal to her race of people, and some might be more loyal to the kingdom as a whole or to the family as a whole. And it understands why they're that way. Which, by the way, kudos to this game for having a anti-slavery, anti-racism message without it having been beaten over your head to the point where it makes you feel like a bad person for playing it. Especially with stuff that happens later on, which is going to bring me to the next part. But so in exploration, you walk around, talk to people, but you also get information on the world around you in little tidbits. Like talking to one person lets me know that, Hyzant's not exactly in the best state right now. They're having too many salts. They're having this problem, and then you can use that in the game's pivotal section, which is my favorite section of this game. And it stinks that there's not more of it because you get maybe like 5 or 6 of these, but it's the political moment. Throughout the game, you have 3 convictions: morality, liberty, and unity, which to me are pretty good representations of what a leader should have. The morality to see the good in what you need to do, and, you know, try to make everything good for people, because people are important. You don't want to be a heartless, horrible monster. Unity, in the sense of the world, that you want to try to unite the world and try to keep everybody peaceful and happy. Not just have your kingdom be successful, but everybody, so that way there's no hardship for the world around you. A very globalist style, in a sense, without having true globalism, in a way, if you've ever looked that stuff up. And the other one is liberty. Basically making sure that your kingdom is still, you know, sustainable, survivable, and can thrive. It doesn't really do you well if you're the nicest person in the world and everyone else is doing great, if your people are eating dog food and dying in the streets, which I appreciate. They address all these issues, and there's a balance to it. So Sarah Noah, the main character, his family has, I believe they're called the Scales of Conviction. I want to say Scales of Conviction. They just call them the Scales, but it has a fancier name than that. So the way it works is, in the Wolford family, they have advisors, those that they trust and those that they hold near to them. Now, the leader will still make choices, but if it ever gets to a point where there's conflicting viewpoints and whatnot, he will leave it to his subjects and his people. A weird take on like a pseudo-democracy here, because it's not like everybody gets a vote, but the advisors do, and they all have their viewpoints. Now, here's where your convictions come in. The choices you make are tied to conviction. Slight spoiler for later on, and this, I'm pretty sure, is universal through all the changes, because the choices you make will branch paths, but there's a few that kind of come back like this, like a Telltale game almost. But they don't consequence-free. Like, the stuff you choose will affect what characters you make, what happens to your realm, and what endings you could possibly get. So, there's an event later on where you're desperate. Like, you've lost everything. Your family is on the brink of death. Your people are going to be brutally murdered, and there's someone that can help you. And they will help you. But it comes at a massive price. It is going to ruin some of your people. It is going to make some of your subjects slaves. But you know what? The alternative is everyone will die. Potentially die. Now, obviously, I chose the one that, you know, we're going to stand and fight. I'm not going to sell out my people and all this stuff. And I do believe it. No, that is the moral choice. But the other one is the liberty choice, which kind of makes sense a bit, I believe, where you're trying to make sure your people survive the best that they can. And if you don't get this ally, you are in a horrible situation. And the game does a good job of, when you're in a tough situation, the fights represent that. I've had a few fights go cakewalk because I kind of chose the easiest path. I chose the path that would be the most direct and straightforward, instead of taking the more nuanced and possibly harder path where the fights will actually be harder, and I do appreciate that. But it's something really cool that they have these branching paths. And you don't make the choice, the advisors do. But as the leader, you can influence them to change their opinions. Now, how well you influence them comes down to your morality in that area, or your conviction in that area. So if you're trying to make a moral decision and you have high morality, it's going to be a bit easier for you to do. But if you don't, it's going to be a bit harder. Now, to help you out though, remember those explorations I was telling you about? Well, now you can get information from them, and that can help you steer them in that direction. And here's the best part, and some would say it's bad, but I actually do like it. You could say the perfect answers. You can look up the perfect guide and all this stuff, but they could still say no, because your conviction is not high enough. Your determination to this cause is not high enough. So if you don't have a moral character who has high morality, and they do a good job of how you can get the convictions, you get them through battles, you can get them through leveling up characters who align to certain of the convictions. Like Frederica, his fiance, is a morality character. Roland, who's the prince of the Kingdom of Glenbrook, who is Sarah Noah's best friend, is unity. And his advisor, Benedict? Yeah, Benedict. Benedict is liberty because he's for the people of the Wolford domain. So by leveling those people up, you get more conviction with them. And there's other characters that do it too. And I kind of like that there's these characters who do have a mindset and you can actually work with it. But if you can't convince them, they're not going to go that way. And I'm not going to lie, I've saved Scrub numerous times, and I grinded out in mock battles just to raise my specific morality so I could convince these people. But it doesn't end though. Like, that's not the end of the story. You can continue on with these choices and see how it affects the world and how it adjusts. And it's things like that that I really like. And the story is so good. The characters are likable. Just because I say Frederica is morality, she's not like a saint going around going, oh, we must give everything to the people. We must lament ourselves to everybody. We can't get... No, she will smoke somebody if she needs to. She'll feel bad about it, but she'll still do it. She still has the conviction. Roland is for unity of the world because he wants to keep the world at peace because he doesn't want to see horrible hardships happen, especially with events that happen. But he still is willing to fight for what he believes is right. He even acknowledges the choices that he makes sometimes are not good, that they are horrible and just despicable choices, but in the long run, he believes they are for the betterment and the good of people as a whole. And Benedict's the same way. He will focus solely on Wolford's family and its standing, even at the sacrifice of the kingdom or from the people's perspective, and the morality aspect of it. So, like, he's got some tricks up his sleeve that are really cool. So, and people come and go based on your conviction and your choices, and that's what I love about this game. It feels like you're actually in this world dealing with these heavy political things. And even when you win, you don't always win. Just because you beat back one army from this one nation doesn't mean another one's not going to come up. And even if you've won, they show that you've lost men in the process and you can't survive another round. You may have won the battle, but the war is not over. And it puts you in these situations where you actually have to question, if it was you, could you make these decisions? Even if you choose them in game, it's still something to think about, which is something I really love. And I've heard a lot of people say it's kind of like a lesser version of Fire Emblem. I haven't fully played through a Fire Emblem game. I tried, I think it was New Dawn. I think it was like one of the first ones for the DS. And I liked the combat of it, but there was like something about it where like you were like losing your items when you use them. Like you only had so many spells to use, which made leveling characters a little bit weird, so I kind of stopped. Might get back to it one of these days, but... You know, and that's why some of these videos take so long, is because, you know, I'm sitting back playing games like this, or, you know, games like this. Hashtag not sponsored. By the way, quick review, great game, lots of fun. If you just want to catch Pokemon, do it. So a little 2-for-1 there. Can I keep talking about good stuff? Because I don't want to talk about the bad stuff. Because there's something really cool coming out in August, and I want to do a whole retrospective on the series, for it is my second favorite Kamen Rider series. But if I gotta do something good and have fun, I feel like you guys like watching me suffer, so I need something. Something bad that I promised back during my Scream review that I need to make good on, and it's gonna hurt. But I'm gonna have fun with a sucker. Thanks to the wonderful people at Spilling the Milk, I now have a drinking game for this. So tune in next video where I will be going over the rules, the setup, the story, and the pain that I'm about to go through reviewing High Guardian Spice. Until then, guys, pick up Arceus, pick up Triangle Strategy, do anything you want besides watch that garbage, but that will come in time. Also will come in time, possibly a Nicolas Cage movie review. Heard a lot about bad guys, heard it was good, but that's not a here nor there. Can we talk about stuff besides that? But no, I promised you guys I would do it, and I'm trying to keep to my stuff now, so I will see you all next time where the suffering begins and my madness will begin to slip as I cover the dumpster fire trash that is High Guardian Spice. Later.